Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to the very first live stream that I've ever done. This is my first time doing a live stream. Sorry it took me a few minutes to get things going. I was trying to get things set up. This is the first time I've actually tried to do a live stream. I've done a live stream before on one of my other channels, but it was pre-recorded stuff. But this is the first time that I actually tried to do it on my own like this. I actually set this up earlier today because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this live stream is because I knew I was going to go see Everything Everywhere All at Once. I knew I was going to go see that earlier today, and I was going to do a video on it this weekend. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just do a live stream right after I watched the movie, which I just got back from watching the movie about 30 minutes ago. I just had enough time to get everything loaded up, the computer set up and turned on and everything just to get this done. And, just give my thoughts on what I thought of that movie, like right, fresh out of the theater, just like my title says. If this is your first time coming to this channel, I'm DLJones. This channel is a DLJones show. I talk about all type of movie reviews, discussion, characters, story-related topics, TV shows, anything that have like a story or something like that. I tend to bring it up. Sometimes I got an audio book. I've actually meant to record a video based on the audiobook that I listened to about a couple of weeks ago that I thought was pretty interesting. I wanted to do a review on that. This is a book by Peter Klein's. It's a fairly new book. Actually, I got it the first day it came out. I downloaded it off Audible and everything and listened to it. Listened to it over a couple of days. And I'll be recording that. I might try to record that this weekend. I actually kind of forgot about it. I meant to record it a couple weeks ago. Kind of forgot about it. I've been doing so much lately. But anyway, I'm here. I'm on the live stream. Let's see what we got going on here. I got a couple of things I'm going to talk about before I get into my thoughts of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Yeah, and there's a couple things I want to talk about. Actually, it's a few things. You know what? It's funny because I have a couple of videos. I posted a video last week and I haven't done one yet this week. This will be my first video for this week. But I got like 2 or 3 videos that's already recorded that I haven't posted yet. I don't know what I'm waiting on to post them. I got one, and one thing about it, one video is Bel Air. I did my kind of thoughts on Bel Air, and I recorded that before the season was over with, and the season is over now. So I'm wondering if I should still even post it. I might have passed the time frame for that. Then I got another one on Snowfall. Snowfall, another TV show, comes on FX, is one of my favorite shows. I think it's in its 5th season. An episode actually came on. I don't know if it was last night or tonight. Whatever episode, whatever night it come on, I didn't watch it yet. And I'm going to watch as soon as I finish this. I got a couple of shows that I want to watch. Halo, I've been watching that series, and Snowfall. Both of those, I got the most recent episode of those shows that I need to watch tonight. It's already, I'm here in Charlotte, on the East Coast, in North Carolina, and it's already 10:13. So hopefully I don't fall asleep on it. I've been falling asleep on stuff lately, trying to wait too late to start watching something, and then next thing you know, I wake up, it's 2, 3 in the morning, and I don't even remember what I was doing when I fell asleep. But anyway, I got those 2 shows that I want to watch tonight. I got a movie I want to watch tonight too. I won't watch it tonight though, but I'll get it this weekend. Holiday weekend. Got a little bit of time off work, so I'll be able to catch up on a few things that I have been struggling to get to lately, and hopefully I'll get to put out some videos on that. But first, let's get to let's see what my thing here says. I was looking at this little message I had up here. I'm just starting, so I'm seeing stuff and I'm like trying to figure out what it means. Okay, okay, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Everything looks good. But yeah, let's see what's going on. Okay, the first thing that I got going on that I want to see, let me pull up Let me pull this up on the screen right quick to see who is up here. Okay, so the first thing I got going on here is the first thing I want to talk about, and before we get to talking about stuff, I want to make sure if you watching a replay of this or if you're watching the live stream, go ahead and click the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And let's see here. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is, Disney Plus. I've been loving all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows that's been coming on ever since that came out. I can't really say that I've been super happy with all the shows. There hasn't been a show yet that I've been like completely blown away with. I mean, I've liked some more than others. I'll get into that in a few minutes. But yeah, I've still been enjoying all of the shows and I've been catching them all on. And what I want to talk about first, which I didn't do any videos on this yet. And what I'm talking about is Moon Knight. Yeah, Moon Knight started. It just finished episode 3 yesterday. It was the 3rd episode. I think a lot of the reviewers that got advanced copies, they got up to episode 4. So we still got another week before we get beyond what the early copies that were given to reviewers and stuff. We still got one more week before we get to that. I didn't get any of those advanced copies. I got to figure out how to get some of those things because it'll be a lot easier. You get to see that stuff in advance as far as making videos and stuff. But yeah, I've been watching the show, and it's funny when I look at all of the Disney Plus shows. Okay, so we have WandaVision, we had Loki, we had Falcon and Winter Soldier, we had Hawkeye, and now we got Moon Knight. Okay, so now out of all of those shows, it's funny because the characters that I was most interested in out of all of the shows I just listed that's on Disney Plus have been I would say Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was the one I was most interested in. And I'm talking about like way back when I saw the titles and I hadn't watched any of the shows yet. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the one that I was the most interested in. And then I would say maybe WandaVision. Moon Knight, I kind of found out about a little bit later on. I think all of that stuff had already started. I think WandaVision and all of that stuff had already started before I found out that there was going to be a Moon Knight show. But as far as characters, who I would have been interested in, like right after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, would probably be a toss-up between Wanda and Moon Knight. The ones that I was probably least interested in is Hawkeye. That's a character I really never really cared that much about. I didn't dislike the character, but it just wasn't interesting. It wasn't a character that was on my radar. Loki is another one of those characters that I really didn't have much interest in. And it's funny because now that all of these shows came out and I've watched them, the character that I was least interested in has the show that's so far my favorite, Hawkeye. Hawkeye so far has been my favorite show out of all of the ones I've seen so far. Next, number 2 would probably be a toss-up between WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. WandaVision was a very, very interesting show. It was a fun show to watch. I think that was probably the most fun show to watch out of all of them. But as far as my enjoyment of the show, I don't know if I liked it more than Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a little bit different. I know a lot of people didn't like that show, but I did because, there was a lot of action in that show. WandaVision had a lot of episodes where they was just asking question after question after question and not really much was happening. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even though the story I didn't think was all of that great, there was some interesting plot points throughout the season, and every episode had probably at least 1 or 2 decent action scenes, so I was kind of satisfied with that show. Hawkeye I thought was pretty interesting because the story was a really scaled down story. It was like a street level story, if you can use that term. And but it was a lot of fun, and it was interesting because to watch the two Hawkeyes interact with each other and all of that kind of stuff, it was just interesting. They made Hawkeye a likable character, whereas he was a pretty much a throwaway character in the movies. And then there were a lot of arrow stuff. There was trick arrows. There was fight scenes. I mean, that show kind of had it all. That show to me was my favorite show out of all of them so far. Then you introduced Kingpin, which that kind of made me a little biased towards the show because my favorite Marvel show altogether, if I look at all of them, has been Daredevil. And with Kingpin being introduced in Hawkeye, it just made me that much more excited because I'm like, okay, Daredevil has to be coming soon, you know. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm drinking coffee. I do like coffee though. But yeah, Moon Knight. What do I think about Moon Knight? So far, I'm enjoying the show. It's funny. Moon Knight is a character, like I've said in a previous video, when I was growing up, when I was like in elementary school, I was a comic book person. I used to collect comics. I used to read comics and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm talking elementary school age, you know. And as I got older, and I don't want to say I grew out of it because that's not the right term. I don't feel like comics or being interested in comic books or anything is something that a person grows out of, like playing with G.I. Joe men or something like that. But I would say that maybe I had other interests that kind of overtook my interest in comics. So I kind of gotten away from them, you know, as I got like middle school and high school age, stuff like that. And, but I still kept up with it. You know, everybody that has ever been like a comic book person, even if you stop reading for a while, you always have that one friend that will keep you caught up. You know, the one that, you know, you go hang out with this friend and they tell you something that happened in the storyline and then it sounds interesting, so you ask about it. The next you know, that person has caught you up on everything that's been going on in comics, you know, from the last time that you've been really, you know, into them. And you know, I've had a couple of friends like that growing up. When I became an adult, I haven't had friends like that. But by that time, you know, the internet, you know, the internet is where you can go and find that stuff out. You can look at you know, Wikipedia. You almost can look up any comic storyline that's going on Wikipedia and read the whole storyline, you know. And then, you know, Marvel got its own version of a sort of type of wiki place, and DC got its own version. And then there's a lot of comic-based websites. And then, of course, nowadays you got YouTube, which there's plenty of channels out there that will completely keep you up with comics. My favorite being Blurred Without Fear. That's my favorite comic book channel. Some other good ones, Comics Explained. And then there's another one that I found recently. And I say recently, and it's probably been like maybe a year or so ago. I think the name of it is Dope Spill Comics. But that particular site, that channel, that guy will take a storyline from the comics that was like a year-long story or a 2-year-long story that spanned across several different books, and he would start from the beginning and go from comic to comic to comic to comic to comic and just walk you through the whole story. And by the time it's almost like watching a movie, but instead you watching comic pages on the screen and hearing a guy talking in the background telling you the story about what's going on. And I think Comics Explained does that too with some things. I think I've watched a couple of there. I'm not sure if Blurred Without Fear does that. He usually will go through like one book. Now, he may have a collection of books in different videos following a specific storyline, but he usually have one book where he just take, you know, this issue of Daredevil came out this week, and he'll have a video where he just goes through the whole issue, you know, and then when the next issue come out, he'll make another video, stuff like that. But, you know, with those three sites, those three channels, Dope Spill Comics, Blurred Without Fear, and Comics Explained, you can pretty much be well caught up in comics. You know, if you just watch those, you go on a deep dive, you go down a rabbit hole watching videos on those sites, you can pretty much get, you know, pretty caught up. You won't be an expert like if you were the guy that's read them all the time, but you'll be pretty caught up. Like Ernie says on Blurred Without Fear, you know, in his videos, he said he'll like have a topic, a character, or a book or something, and he always say that by the time you finish with this video, you'll be able to have an intelligent conversation about this with someone, and you can, his books, his videos will make it so you kind of know what's going on. So I said all of that just to say that Moon Knight is a character that I never really knew too much about. Now, I remember him back when I used to collect comics, but I never used to read his books. And I kind of always thought of Moon Knight as sort of like a daredevil in a white suit. I kind of thought of him as the character that just can fight really well, and he has like little gadgets and stuff like that, and he wears a white suit. And he's basically the same type of character as Daredevil, but he wears a white suit instead of a red suit. And as I'm watching this show, I'm finding out that there is a lot more to Moon Knight than I thought it was. Now, I knew about the multiple personalities. I knew about that. I knew that he worshiped the moon god, but I didn't know. I thought that was part of like his mental, illness. I didn't know there was actually a moon god that he actually worshiped that gave him powers. Now, mind you, I'm going on a TV show. I don't know if the Disney Plus show is creating a lot of stuff that's not in the comics. Like, I didn't know Moon Knight had powers. In the show, he got like super strength and super speed and shoot. In the episode I saw last night, Moon Knight got impaled by several jousting sticks or spears or whatever they were and just, broke them all off and continued fighting. I didn't know he had those kind of powers. A lot of people kind of look at Moon Knight as Marvel's version of Batman. But he's completely different than the Marvel's version of Batman, according to the TV show. Now, I'm gonna have to go do some research on him to find out how his character is, what his power set is in the comics, because I do like to, when these movies come out and TV shows come out based on these comic book characters, I do like to know where they come from. I do like to know how they was envisioned by the original creators, what their power set is, what they were in the comics, where it came from. So I'll know, the differences, and it doesn't make a difference because it doesn't have any impact on how I feel about the TV show or movie or not. But I just like to know, I'm just that type of person where I want to know, I want to know where it come from. I want to know where things are derived from. I want to know what things are brought over and what things are brand new. But yeah, Moon Knight, my interest in the TV show so far, I'm enjoying the show, but I can't say that I'm super interested in it. So far, just based on the first 3 episodes, I put it on, like, my favorite Marvel show so far has been Hawkeye. And like I said, number 2 is probably a tie between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Number 3 is Loki, which I know that's 4 shows, but it's only 3 spots. Number 3 is Loki, and I kind of put Moon Knight on the same level as Loki as far as how much I'm enjoying the show. Now, I enjoyed Loki, but I enjoyed it in the 3rd spot. The other shows I enjoyed more than Loki. And Moon Knight so far, I kind of feel like I'm getting the same vibe from it. The only thing about Moon Knight that's a little bit different as far as my thoughts on it is that, I don't really care about the story as much as I cared about the Loki story. The Loki story was interesting. And I'm guessing that's because they brought out the new multiverse stuff and all of this kind of stuff. That was interesting to me, trying to figure that out with the alternate Lokis and all of that kind of stuff. But so far, Moon Knight just sounds like it, that show got its own language, and that language is just something that I don't care about really that much. All of the different moon gods and sun gods and Egyptian gods. It's like all of that stuff is like, it just goes over my head. My eyes kind of glaze over. But then right when I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm not that interested in this show, then something happens that brings me back in and makes me interested again. I wish there was more fight scenes. Each episode has like maybe 1 fight scene, maybe 2. And the thing about it is that if it has 2, one of the fight scenes, he may not even be Moon Knight in that fight scene. It may just be an action scene or something like that. But I just wish it was more fight scenes. And you know, a lot of these shows I kind of feel like have been lacking with the amount of action and fight scenes and stuff in the shows. Because, like I said before, like I've said in videos before, that, you know, you sit there and you watch a superhero show, you want to see superhero stuff. You know what I'm saying? You want to see them doing stuff. And there's been a lot of shows where there's these long 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episode series, and they don't do a whole lot, you know, as far as the superhero stuff. And I don't know. Maybe I just want too much. I don't know. But I just kind of wish that they would do a little more. I want to see him do more stuff. I want to see him in the white uniform, getting in more fights, solving crimes. But right now, it just seems like they're focusing a lot on the multiple personalities, which is enjoyable, but it's not what I wish they would focus more on. Moon Knight in the suit, you know, fighting people, you know, throwing the little crescent moon darts and using the 2 sticks and all of that kind. I want to see that, you know. I want to see fight scenes, and I want to see him chasing stuff and just beating bad guys up and stuff like that. That's what I want to see more of. But we're getting it, but not that much. But overall, I'm enjoying the show. From what I understand, episode 4 is going to be really good, and that's next week. I can't wait, because I don't feel like there has been a really good episode yet. I feel like each episode so far has been okay. And the difference with this show, Moon Knight, versus the other shows is that the episodes to me don't really feel like episodes. It feel like they made a long movie and they just got stopping points, you know, and then they just broke off an hour and said, okay, this is episode 1, broke off an hour and said this is episode 2. They don't necessarily feel like, you know, just episodes, just like beginning, middle, and end episodes. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it gives it a weird feeling when I watch it, because it just ends, and a lot of times it just feels like it just ends abruptly, you know, sort of like the end of the first Lord of the Rings movie. You know, you're watching it and it was super long, but you enjoying it the whole time. Then all of a sudden the screen just goes black and the closing credits come up, and you be like, what? You know, where's the rest of the story? You know, and that's how Moon Knight feels to me every time. Every time episode ends, it just feels like, you know, I wish there was more. It seems like there should be another episode that's coming on right after it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Right now, it's in my 3rd place so far, is tied with Loki as far as my favorite, how much I'm enjoying the show compared to all of the other Disney Plus Marvel shows. And we'll see. Maybe it'll get better. You know, Marvel, Disney Plus, they're pretty good at, I don't know if I would say they're pretty good at, but for me, it seemed like I've noticed that they tend to like to backload their seasons. Like their seasons generally starts off pretty slow, and then they have everything happen in the last 2 episodes, you know. And that may be what they're going to do here. But we'll see. I'm liking the show so far. I'm going to continue watching it. And I hope that they continue to use Moon Knight in other movies and TV shows and stuff like that. From what I understand, they haven't signed him to any other contracts beyond this show. So I don't know. I'm hoping that they're going to bring him back. And I'm talking about Oscar Isaac. I'm hoping they're going to bring him back for more, bring Moon Knight back for more stuff. And another thing about Moon Knight is that, you know, I guess the story, the reason why I'm not too much into the story, first, they got a lot of the Egyptian god stuff that I kind of feel like is like some kind of secret language that I don't really care about when they're talking about all of that kind of stuff. But Ethan Hawke, I like him as an actor, but I don't like his character. I think his character is pretty boring. You know, I would just wish they had a villain that I was more interested in, you know, and I'm not interested in the most interesting thing he did was in episode 1. And I'm trying not to spoil it for people who haven't watched it yet, but in episode 1, when they first introduced the character, he did something that was kind of peculiar. And that's probably been about the most interesting thing he did. And they haven't gone back to that since then. So, and it's a simple thing. But yeah, he's not that interesting. a lot of the people that Moon Knight have been fighting have just been faceless random people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shoot, it could have been the same person in each episode as far as I know. That's how faceless and random those people have been. This most recent episode did have a fight scene that seemed like it was more people he was fighting that were like real recognizable people that you could remember after the episode is over with. But the rest of the little fight scenes and stuff, they were just faceless random people that he fought that when the fight is over, you don't even remember what the person looks like. So yeah, so that's Moon Knight. So far I'm enjoying the show. Yeah, this guy, Mr. Knight, this character, he was pretty cool looking. He looked pretty cool on screen. The Moon Knight character with the white suit on, you know. He's pretty cool on screen, you know. And I do like how they're like slowly introducing the different personalities. And how they're interacting with each other. Sometimes I feel like the different personalities are getting in the way of the story of different things, because there are some situations where you have one of the personalities getting into something and then the screen will cut and then come back and then everybody around him will be dead. And you don't know how it happened. You know a different personality did it, but they don't show it. And I think that's cool. Like the first time they did it, I thought it was cool, you know. But then they did it again, and I think this most recent episode they did it, and I was like, okay, I'm over that. You know, I'm over that trick. You know, I'd rather see the fight scenes instead of seeing him just flash and then everybody's knocked out or whatever, you know. But yeah, that's Moon Knight. So far, I'm enjoying it. And I'm gonna continue watching. I'm not sure what the next Marvel show is. I'm guessing Echo. Is it Echo or Miss Marvel? Maybe it's Miss Marvel that's going to be the next one. I'm curious to see how they're going to do Miss Marvel. I think it's Miss Marvel because I do remember seeing a trailer for Miss Marvel a couple weeks ago. So I think that must be the next one. Echo sticks in my mind because of the Hawkeye show, and I know that when they do the Echo show, Kingpin is going to come back, and I know that that's the show that Daredevil may make an introduction in the Disney Plus MCU universe, television universe. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe that's why that's on my mind, but I think Miss Marvel is the next one. Curious to see how they're going to do Miss Marvel. They've already, from the trailer I saw, they've already changed her a little bit. They've already changed her powers and her power set and stuff a little bit. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. All right, so yeah, so that's Moon Knight, and yeah, that's one of the shows I've been watching lately. I just want to talk a little bit about that. I hadn't had the chance to do a video or anything on that show, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit, just give a little bit of my thoughts on that show. So now another show that I've been watching, this show I think is in its fourth episode comes on tonight, I want to say. I think it's the fourth episode. It either came on tonight or yesterday. I don't know. I think it started today. I haven't watched it yet, but it's one of the shows I'm going to watch when I finish doing this video. And this show is a show that I've kind of been looking forward to for a while. At first, it was going to be a movie, and then it didn't be a movie. Then they said it was going to be a TV show, and then something happened with that. But finally, they have the show, and it's Halo. And the thing about Halo, I always wondered how they was going to do this show. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ever played the games, Halo, if you don't know, very popular game on the Microsoft Xbox consoles. It's a video game, first-person shooter. And it came out, I kind of feel like the very first Xbox, the Halo video game, single-handedly made the first Xbox a thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, because everybody, like even people that was like PlayStation fans and stuff and didn't want anything to do with the Xbox, a lot of people was just buying an Xbox just so they can play Halo. You know, they may not have played any other game on it. Halo sold a lot of Xboxes when that first came out. And Halo was a launch game for the first Xbox, came out in like 2001 or something like that. But yeah, I really liked the game. I remember playing the first 2 or 3. And I've played all of them, but I haven't played. I haven't finished all of them. The first 2 or 3, I played them all to the end. But since then, there were other ones, like there was Halo ODST and the one that just recently came out. Well, I say recently, but it was sometime last year, Halo Infinite. You know, I've played some of them, some of those games, but I didn't play it all the way through. I kind of I got to where lately in the last several years, I haven't had the time to sit down and play through a whole game like that, you know. Like I used to, you know, but yeah, I still enjoy the game. So I was very curious how the TV show was going to be. Because for one thing, if you ever played the game, you know that it's 2 things that I had questions about. Okay, the first thing is the main character, you know, Master Chief. That's the guy you see there in the front. In the game, that's all you ever see. He always have on that uniform. He's never taken his helmet off. You don't know what he looks like. You hear his voice, but you don't know what he looks like, you know. That's all you ever see. They've never shown anything in the game. So I was like, how are you going to have a show where you don't see who the person is? And, you know, I say that, but then there was The Mandalorian. A large part of The Mandalorian, you know, the main character in that show just had on a helmet. You didn't see his face. But he eventually took the helmet off, but he put it back on. You know, it wasn't like a common thing. It was just certain occasions he took his helmet off. So I was like, how are they going to do Halo like this, you know? And then another question I had about Halo is that he fights aliens. If you ever played the game, he don't fight humans or anything. Everybody he fighting are aliens. And I was like, that's going to be a lot of special effects, a lot of costumes, or however they choose to do it. And for a TV show, I was thinking that could potentially look pretty cheesy, you know? So we have the show. I sit down and I watch the first episode, and the first half of the episode I thought was awesome. The first half of the episode to me it took me right back to when I first played Halo at the same time. And it may have been the sounds, because there were sounds in like the shootout, the first battle scene that they had, where where our Master Chief and all of his squad comes in and fights the aliens. You know, they had everything. They had the sounds from the weapons. They even had the recharge shield sound from the game. Because like in the game, what happens is if you get shot a bunch of times and your health go down, all you got to do is go hide somewhere, and after a couple of seconds, you'll hear the little doo 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 doo, and your shield will go back up. Then you can go back out to fight. And they even did that in that first battle. And then you had the creatures, you know, the aliens that they were fighting. Of course, they look like the aliens in the game, but they look like cheap CGI. You know, what I was fearing is about how they looked. It looked kind of like cheesy CG, a little bit better than cheesy, but you know, not the quality like you would think, like if you was to see it in the movie theater quality, aliens and stuff like that. It wasn't that. And since then, they haven't really showed aliens all of that much, you know. They've been focusing on a lot of the humans and stuff. And not that much on the aliens. And I think they do it on purpose, because they know that that's probably using up a lot of their budget every time they have a scene with the aliens. Sort of like in what is it? Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, you know, you had the dragons. Everybody wanted to see the dragons, but you didn't see them that often, because you know, it costs a lot for them dragons. So you just saw them at key moments, you know, and it seemed like they're trying to do that with Halo. But the weird thing is that his enemies are all the aliens, so it can't be like that, you know. But anyway, the first episode, I really liked the first half of it, and then the second half of it, it kind of got to where I wouldn't say I disliked it, but it kind of got boring. It kind of felt dull, you know. So I was kind of half and half on the first episode, and then the second episode, my eyes kind of glazed over watching the whole episode. I didn't think the second episode was all of that interesting. And the third episode, I was at the point where I was saying, okay, I hate to say it, but this might not be a show that I'll keep up with. But then interesting stuff happened. Interesting stuff started happening, and it pulled me back in, you know. So at the end of the third episode, I was like, I was back in again. So I was ready to see what's going to happen next. But yeah, at the beginning of the third episode, I was at that point where I was like, you know, I hate to say it, but I'm thinking Halo is not going to be one of my shows, but so far it made it past the third episode for me. So far it's still one of my shows. I'm going to watch episode 4 tonight, and we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen in episode 4. We'll see if we continue on. And like I was saying, like the other concern I had was about the helmet and all of that kind of stuff. And they ain't pay attention to that. It didn't take them long at all before they took that helmet off Master Chief. And I don't think he's had the helmet back on since they've took it off in the first episode. But yeah, it didn't take them long at all before they did that. And I guess they was like, because I'm guessing when he is Master Chief, I'm guessing that's probably a lot of CG also. It probably cost him a lot of money. So yeah, he's probably not going to have that helmet on a whole lot, because once you put the helmet on, they're probably using the same technology and stuff to make Master Chief appear on screen as they do for all of the aliens that he's fighting. So yeah, probably won't see the helmet on him all of that much. And while it's pretty cool to see what he looks like, I'd rather not. I'd rather he had the helmet on the whole time. I like the idea of wondering what he looks like, Or they could do a Metroid thing where the whole time you're thinking it's a he, and then they take the helmet off and it's a woman. They could have done something like that, which would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I liked wondering what he looked. I like that mystery, because Master Chief was like one of these people where in the game, every time he showed up and you was around the other soldiers, they would all cheer him on, Master Chief, yay, they was all cheering him on. They was happy to see him and stuff like that. But he was like a mysterious character where, they know he's a good soldier. They know he's there to save. They know he's the cavalry when he shows up. But it was like still like that's all they knew about him, as far as my interpretation of what I saw when I played the game. And I like that feeling. I like him just being a mysterious person that just shows up and saves everybody, But yeah, that's Halo. Let's see. None of the people that's in it is anyone I really recognize. Oh, except for Bokeem Woodbine. I know who he is. He plays one of Master Chief's friends. And I'm not sure what his role in the game is going to be yet. So, in the TV show. So the thing about this show is that they have a storyline that they're going through. And I don't know where that storyline come from. There's been a lot of books and all of that kind of stuff based on the Halo series. And I don't know if the storyline that they're using for this TV show is something that came from the books, But it's a really fleshed out storyline. When I was watching it, like around the second episode, when I was saying I was to the point where I was almost about to give up on the show, I was looking at it and I was like, I don't want to see this. That's what I was thinking. I was like, who cares about, the politics and all of that kind of stuff? I want to see Master Chief, goes fight the aliens, and here we are, we're in the third episode and they're still not even on the Halo yet. I wonder how long is it going to be before they get on the Halo planet, But yeah, maybe by the end of the season, they'll get on the Halo planet. I don't know. They haven't even found it yet. They don't even, I don't think in the show they even know it exists yet. But we'll find out. Maybe tonight's episode that I watched, they will learn some more about it, But I'm looking forward to that because I'm curious how it's going to look when they finally get on the planet. I remember the first game, you start off in a ship, and when you get off the ship, you're on this planet and you shoot some aliens and stuff like that. But then if you make your character look up, you can see that you are on a Halo planet. You can see the top part of the ring in the skyline, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm curious on how they're going to display that on the TV show when we get to that point. All right, so if you haven't done so yet, make sure you give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to this channel. I try to do weekly videos. Sometimes I'll do more than one video a week. And I do a lot of different stuff. Movie reviews, TV show reviews, stuff like that. Sometimes I just talk about different things like different things that I may have thoughts about certain things that's going on a particular TV show, or things you see, trends you see in movies or TV and stuff like that. But yeah, just make sure you subscribe so you can always, check me out so you don't forget about me, All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, and that is the reason why I was doing this video today. And this is to tell you my thoughts about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Okay, so earlier today I went and saw that movie. I think it started at 6:30, and the movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I went and saw that movie. I was gonna go see it last week, but I didn't realize it wasn't out last week. And then when it was out, I was trying to use my AMC A-List app because I'm a AMC A-List member. So I was trying to use that to get tickets, and something was going on with that with AMC last week. So you couldn't even get any tickets or anything like that using the app. So finally they got it fixed, so it was working. So I got the movie, and it's funny, we talk about Marvel movies. I haven't seen Morbius yet, which I know Morbius is a Marvel movie, but it's a Sony Marvel movie and not an MCU movie. But it's funny because since all of this stuff started, I would say it started all with the first Iron Man movie, the whole comic book movie revolution. I know there's been comic book movies before then, but I'm using Iron Man 1 as the first movie. Since that movie has came out, I have not missed an opening weekend of a comic book movie since then. I've seen them all opening weekend. Every movie that came out, it don't matter if it's DC or Marvel, I've seen them all the first weekend, either the first weekend or sometime during that first week. But Morbius is the first one that I haven't seen. It's going on week 3 now, and I still haven't seen it. And I haven't really had that much of an interest in seeing that movie. But I need to see it, so I need to see it. So I'm probably going to check that out this weekend, because I need to see it. And I don't think I don't have that much of an interest in Morbius, the character. But I need to see it anyway, because you never know, it might surprise me. I might enjoy the movie. So Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's what I went and saw today. I want to talk about it. First of all, as I usually do with my reviews, let's go over the synopsis for this movie. All right. It says an aging Chinese immigrant is swept up in an insane adventure where she alone can save the world by exploring other universes, connecting with the lives she could have led. When I read that, like, if I didn't see the trailer and I read that, I don't know, I probably wouldn't, it probably wouldn't have been on my radar. But the trailer is what got on my radar, because first of all, we have Michelle Yeoh, and Michelle Yeoh, which I'll talk about this in a moment. Michelle Yeoh, I know her from a lot of Kung Fu movies back in the days. I know she's done more than just Kung Fu movies, but that's where I know her. I think I first saw her in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is the first subtitled movie I've ever watched. And I went to the theater to see that movie. But yeah, Michelle Yeoh, I know her from back then. I know her as a martial arts actor. So when I see her in movies, I'm like, yeah, there's going to be some fight scenes. And then when I looked at the trailer, the trailer looks like it's going to be wild, crazy fight scenes, And then it also had Ki Hui Wan, which I know I butchered that, which I didn't know at the time, but he's Short Round from the Indiana Jones movies. Well, I think it was the first movie he was in, or maybe the second one. I can't remember which one. But he's the guy, Short Round. It was a kid, And I think the story is that he kind of, took a break from acting for a long while, And this is he's like kind of just getting back into doing stuff, Then you got Jamie Lee Curtis, which I didn't know Jamie Lee Curtis was in this movie until I was watching the movie earlier and I saw her and I was like, okay, Jamie Lee Curtis is in here. But basically, I'll go over what the movie is about. Basically, it's a weird movie, a weird, crazy movie. So basically, what this movie is about is Michelle Yeoh's character figures out it's like a multiverse type movie. It kind of dives deep into this multiverse stuff. So Michelle Yeoh figures out that she gets tipped off by somebody from a different universe that came to her universe that in another universe, her character was like some kind of smart scientist or something and developed some kind of technology that allowed people to travel to different universes. So they had been searching for her because she was the character in the main universe from the movie. She's a character. She was kind of down on her luck, I wouldn't say down on her luck, but she was kind of like somebody that just really wasn't that happy in her life. She kind of thought her husband was a goofball, and then her daughter was she didn't really have that great of a relationship with her daughter because her daughter was but one of the plots in the story was that her daughter was gay and was bringing her girlfriend around, and you could tell she was the mother that didn't really know how to deal with that. She was trying to deal with it, but she didn't really know how to deal with that. She just couldn't get it right as far as her dealing with her daughter being gay, and her daughter was trying to bring her girlfriend over to a party that they were having, and her Michelle Yeoh's father was visiting, and he didn't know that her daughter was gay, and she didn't want to tell. It was just a whole bunch of stuff going on with that, where it kind of was like, I could imagine, watching the movie, I could imagine how that could be hard for somebody, especially if you're somebody that just don't know. Of course, a lot of people, when they come into situations like that, where somebody in their family is gay or something like that, for a lot of people, that's their first time having to deal with it. Some people can deal with it. Some people can deal with it right off the bat. It's not an issue, but some people just have a harder time dealing with it, coming to terms with things and understanding and, being a good person, dealing with it in a way where you still, it's her daughter. She's going to still love her daughter, but she just don't know how to deal with it. And just seems like she just doesn't say the right things or do the things the way she should and all of that kind of stuff, which causes a lot of friction between them two. But what happens is she gets seeked out by someone from another dimension, and they pick her to help her because they want her to help them with a problem that they're having. And I'll get to that in a minute. The funny thing is that the reason why they picked her is because, she is a person that has a lot of ideas, but she just all throughout her life, she's either always failed at them or never did them. You know what I'm saying? So the way the multiverse stuff works in this movie is that whenever whenever she has an idea and she fails or she decides not to do it, another universe is created where a version of her did do those things and was successful at it. So it was so many things in her life that she didn't do or failed at, that there were so many different universes created with versions of her that did all of these different things. So that's why they were seeking her out, because the way the technology work on how they traverse the multiverse is that she could call on, with that technology, she could call on any other version of her in any other universe, and she would gain that version of hers memories and skills and everything. And being that she kind of failed at and gave up on so many different things, there were just so many different versions of her in the different universe that had all of these different skills. So she was like the perfect person to call on to do something. Like if you was to send her on a mission, whatever skill or talent or knowledge that she needed, there was a version of her in a different universe that had that, and she could pull that from them, So the story was that there was a person that got to where they could traverse all of the different universes on their own without the technology, they could just do it on their own, and they can even like view all of those universes even all at the same time and bounce back and forth at will and all of this kind of stuff. And that person was a threat because that person was doing something that they thought was going to like ruin all of the universe, destroy everything, you know. So they was trying to find somebody that could stop that person. And at the same time, that person was searching for the main character, Michelle Yeoh's character, whose name is Evelyn in the movie. That person was bouncing from universe to universe looking for Michelle Yeoh's character, was looking for the character that could do what she could do as far as traversing things at will without technology and all of that kind of stuff. So that's why they kind of showed up there recruiting her. And it took a while, you know, for them to get her, you know, to understand what was going on. But then that's when, you know, a lot of the fun stuff happened. A lot of the stuff you see in the trailer, all of the fight scenes and all of the crazy stuff, you know, that's when all of that kind of stuff started happening. Now, it's funny because this movie was 2 hours and 20 minutes and it felt long to me. I don't know what's up with these movies. Just recently, a lot of the movies that I've been seeing felt long. Like this one felt like it was maybe 20 minutes too long. I wouldn't say Batman. I felt like it was, you could have cut out about an hour of that movie, but this one, it felt like it was about 20 minutes too long. And I'll touch more on that in a little bit, when I get down to the ending parts of my thoughts. But yeah, when the movie first started, you know, the first probably 30, 35, 40 minutes of the movie, to me felt a lot like The Matrix. You know how in The Matrix, you know, The Matrix starts off with Neo, and it's the whole thing with Morpheus showing him, you know, things aren't what you seem and all of this kind of stuff, the blue pill and the red pill and all of this stuff. This movie kind of starts off the same way. It even starts off where when she is exposed to it, she's actually in an office building, just like Neo was in The Matrix. But it starts off like that, where she gets approached by the person from another dimension, and he's trying to recruit her and explain to her what things are going on, and things are happening at the same time, you know. And a lot of that felt a lot like The Matrix. I got that feel a lot from like the first 30 minutes of the movie, you know. But after it got past that point, and it got to the point where she understood what was going on and everything, then it got to a lot of crazy stuff. You know, this movie is crazy. This movie has a lot of crazy, insane stuff going on in this movie. Some stuff's funny, some stuff is just wild and wacky, but there was a lot of fight scenes, which I really enjoyed the fight scenes, and there was a lot of them. You know, it was a lot of fight scenes. I'll say that a large part of the middle part of the movie was basically all fight scenes, and the end of it still ended with a lot of fight scenes too. But yeah, it was crazy, just crazy stuff that happened in this movie, and it was really interesting. I like wacky, crazy stuff. You know, when you can like have a story to kind of make you sit there and try to figure things out as they're trying to explain it to you, and it's like wacky and crazy, make you laugh, and things happen. It's like, oh, this is, you know, nutty or whatever. And then you got the action scenes in it too. I was in, you know, I was in. I really enjoyed it, and if you look at this picture on the screen that I have here, it says this is what a true masterpiece looked like. And when I watch this movie, I can see why people will feel like this is a masterpiece. A lot of people are saying that this may be their favorite movie of the year. And I can understand why people would feel that way, because this movie feels like that. It feels like this is my movie of the year type movie, you know. But, you know, while I enjoyed it, it didn't feel like a movie of the year type movie to me. I mean, I liked it a lot. The only thing, I had problems with the end, because while I said it was wacky and crazy and over the top with a lot of the stuff was humorous and funny and fun, you know, by the time it got to like the third act, it just felt like they just went off the deep end. It felt like it went overboard. And I don't know, it just felt like they went overboard. And that comes to, if you ever seen this movie, that's how I felt about this movie. Lucy. If you've ever seen this movie starts off a certain way, you know, the whole 10% of your brain thing that people were doing, saying in movies a while, and it was interesting trying to figure it out. But then when you got to the end, it just went so wacky and off the deep end that by the time the movie was over with, I just didn't like the movie. You know, I was kind of angry with where they took that movie. I didn't feel that way about this movie, about everything always all at once. I didn't feel that way about this movie, but it did get really wacky at the end. It to me, it went over the deep end, you know, at the end. It dove off a cliff at the end and just went just a little too wacky for me, you know. And I think that, man, I don't know, if they could have cut out about 20 minutes of all of the wackiness, you know, they could have ended this movie for me in a way where I would have left that there to saying, okay, yeah, this was great, you know. But the end of it with all of the wackiness, it got to the point where I was just basically rolling my eyes towards the end of the movie. It was just crazy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying not to spoil it too much. I know I've told the basic plot, but I'm trying not to spoil the details of the movie. But the thing that they were fighting to stop at the end, I was like, they could have came up with something better than that, you know. It was so insane, you know. And I guess that's the point of the movie. A lot of the stuff that went on in the movie was kind of insane and wacky, you know. But at the end, I felt like they was gonna all bring it all together at the end with something that wasn't as wacky and crazy, you know. But they didn't. They just doubled down on it. But they did have, you know, a lot of the movie kind of like they brought in the whole family relationship type thing. They brought that back in, you know, Michelle Yeoh's character dealing with her husband, which, you know, she thought her husband was sort of like an idiot, you know, but her dealing with him, coming to terms with him, learning more about him, you know, through everything that was going on in the movie, her learning how to deal with her daughter, or I don't know if she actually learned how to deal with her daughter, but they brought things out. They opened the door on their relationship with each other and made things better, you know. So it was a lot of things like that went on that kind of threw in like a little bit of a feel good moment, you know, not super obvious, but kind of in there, hidden between all of the wackiness and all of that kind of stuff. And I thought the way they did that was pretty interesting. And that's the part that I feel like, you know, when I watch this movie and I see that, you got the wackiness going on, but then you also got her coming to terms with her relationships with the people in her life. That's the part that I feel like, yeah, when people are watching this movie, they're going to feel like this is awesome. I mean, it didn't have that effect on me, but I could see it. I can see people feeling that way about this movie. And then you have like situations like for example, you know, the immigrant parents, you know, dealing with like the more Americanized version of the daughter and all of that kind of stuff. And I can see a lot of people, you know, watching this movie and feeling like, yeah, this is how it was in my house. You know what I'm saying? I could see that if you are like, you know, and if you're like a second generation, you know, like if you're Asian or something like that, and you're like your parents is from you know, China or somewhere, and you were born here. You know, I can see those people that are in those situations having that feeling when watching this movie. They would be like, yeah, my mother was just like this, you know. And then like people from the LGBT community, you know, having to deal with, you know, you being you and just wanting the people that love you to accept you, and they don't quite know how to accept you in the way that you want them to. And you know, a lot of that kind of stuff, I can see I can see a lot of things in this movie touching a lot of different people, you know, and then you bring in the action and the wackiness and all of that kind of stuff. I can see a lot of people looking at this movie saying, yes, this is a masterpiece. Just like that poster there say, you know, I can see a lot of people watching this movie and feeling like, you know, and getting that feeling, coming away from that movie feeling like they just watched a masterpiece, you know. I didn't get that feeling, but I did enjoy the movie. I did enjoy it. I liked the fight scenes. What I got most out of the movie was the fight scenes, you know, and that's what I went there for, was the fight scenes, and I wasn't disappointed. They were pretty cool fight scenes, and there were a lot of them. And that's what made the movie for me. You know, I like the wacky stuff that went on. You have to see the movie. I keep saying wacky. I know it doesn't mean anything unless you've saw the movie, and then you can understand what I'm talking about. But I like some of the wacky stuff that went on, even though I think they kind of went too far towards the end. But I do think that made the movie interesting, especially you kind of like mixing up the sort of like the sci-fi aspect of it, traveling through the different dimensions and different multiverse universes and all of that kind of stuff. I thought that was interesting. I liked how they handled it, you know, and it was a fun movie to watch, you know, even though I kind of felt like it went too far with the wackiness at the end. I was kind of disappointed with how they chose to end this movie as far as that part of it. But yeah, but overall I liked it, and I do say it's a movie that you should watch. You know, I don't think this is one you should wait on. I think you should go see it. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people probably will like this movie a lot more than I do, but even the amount that I like the movie, I still feel like it's one of the must-see movies of this year, you know, so far, of what's been released so far this year. And yeah, I enjoyed it. So Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'd say go check it out. At least check out the trailer. If those fight scenes don't make you want to go see the movie, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But or maybe you're just not in the fight scenes and action scenes and stuff. I am. I like the fight scenes and action scenes. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. This is my first live stream. I might do more of these. Cause I got it all set up now, so I might as well just do more of them. But yeah, but thank you for watching this video today, and I hope you come back. I might start doing more of these live streams. Once I got everything set up, it wasn't too hard to get things going, and it didn't take me long to set it up. I set it up early today, and it wasn't a big deal. I mean, I set it up early today from scratch, from downloading the software, installing, and everything, and so far everything seemed to be working out pretty good. So. But if I continue to do these, I probably will use a different format, a different solution. Like I use Streamlabs. I think I might use one of the other web-based ones that a lot of the other live streaming people use, like maybe StreamYard or something like that. But there we go. Go ahead and you know, check out some of my other videos. You know, I got a couple of them. I'll be doing, I think my next video, I got two videos that I recorded that I haven't posted yet. I might post those. Then of course I got some things I'm going to watch tonight, and I got a movie that I'm going to watch sometime this weekend. So you'll see some more stuff by me. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.